And what just happened? Apple just admitted it, lied to millions of customers, and paid $250 million to prove it. The company has agreed to settle a class action lawsuit for $250 million over misleading marketing of Apple Intelligence features on iPhone 15 Pro and iPhone 16 models. Here's what happened. Apple launched these phones with heavy promotion around AI capabilities, claiming they deliver advanced features like summarization, image generation, and sophisticated Siri improvements. The catch? Most of those features weren't actually available at launch. Some arrived months later, others haven't shipped to certain regions at all, and some were promised to devices that turned out not to be compatible. This wasn't a minor marketing slip-up. This was a widespread, systematic issue affecting millions of customers who bought phones specifically because they believed they were getting Apple Intelligence. The settlement applies to anyone in the US who purchased an iPhone 15 Pro or any iPhone 16 model between June 10, 2024 and January 28, 2025. That's roughly an 8-month window covering some of the most aggressively marketed products in Apple's recent history. The financial penalty itself tells you something important. Apple considered this serious enough to fork over $250 million rather than fight it out in court. That's not pocket change, even for a company worth nearly $3 trillion. It's a calculated decision that defending the case would be more expensive than settling. And perhaps more importantly, it's an admission that they knew they'd crossed a line. Understanding why this happened requires looking at what Apple actually promised versus what it delivered. When the iPhone 16 launched in September 2024, Apple went all in on Apple Intelligence as the primary selling point. But here's the technical reality. Apple Intelligence runs on specialized chips called neural engines that had varying capabilities across different iPhone models. The processing power requirements for features like image generation and advanced summarization are genuinely demanding. Apple needed time to optimize these features for consumer devices. The problem was timeline misalignment. Apple announced features it genuinely intended to deliver, but underestimated how long optimization would take. Instead of delaying the product launch until Apple Intelligence was ready, they launched the phones and released features in waves. This created a credibility gap. Customers believed they were buying complete AI phones. They were actually buying incomplete ones. But there's a deeper business issue at play here. Apple faced intense pressure from the market and from competitors. Google had been aggressive with Gemini features on Pixel phones. Microsoft was pushing Copilot integration across devices. Samsung had announced AI capabilities on Galaxy phones. Apple couldn't afford to be left behind in the AI narrative, so they accelerated their marketing timeline even as development lagged behind. This settlement also sets a precedent that matters for the entire industry. When a trillion-dollar company gets hit with a $250 million judgment for overstating AI capabilities, it sends a message to every other tech company considering similar tactics. The days of AI is coming soon, trust us marketing might be over. Regulators and courts are watching how companies market unfinished technology, and they're willing to penalize misleading claims with serious money. If you bought an iPhone 15 Pro or any iPhone 16 between mid-June 2024 and late January 2025 in the United States, you're potentially eligible for compensation. The settlement hasn't specified exact per-device payouts yet, but with millions of phones sold in that window, the average payout will likely be somewhere between $20 and $100 per device, depending on how many eligible claimants come forward. Here's what's important, though. You might not have to do anything. Class action settlements typically allow for automatic compensation if you purchase through Apple directly or if your purchase records are traceable. Those who bought through carriers or third-party retailers might need to file a claim with documentation. The bigger group affected is international iPhone users. Apple Intelligence remains region-locked in many countries. Customers in Europe, parts of Asia, and other markets bought the same phones with the same marketing, but can't actually access Apple Intelligence at all. This settlement only covers US customers, which highlights an unresolved issue. What about customers in other countries who were misled about the same features? First, Apple will likely need to rewrite how it markets unfinished technology. Expect clearer language around feature availability, launch dates, and regional limitations. This settlement will ripple through Apple's marketing department with stricter legal oversight of product claims. Second, we'll probably see copycat lawsuits against other tech companies making similar AI promises. If Google overstated Gemini capabilities, or if Microsoft oversold Copilot features, those companies should expect class actions following Apple's playbook. The legal precedent is now set. Third, Apple will accelerate Apple Intelligence rollout to minimize future reputational damage. The company can't afford another settlement of this scale. Delivering features faster and more completely becomes a financial imperative, not just a competitive one. Apple's $250 million settlement isn't just about money changing hands. It's a signal that the era of vaporware AI marketing has costs. Companies can't promise advanced AI features, launch incomplete products, and expect legal impunity anymore. The market, the courts, and customers are holding tech companies accountable for overstated claims. This is actually healthy for consumers. It means the next time a company claims to have revolutionary AI, you'll know they face real financial consequences if they oversell and underdeliver. The settlement doesn't make anyone whole for the inconvenience or disappointment, but it does establish that misleading customers about transformative technology has a price. For Apple, it's a manageable fine that preserves the broader company narrative while forcing better discipline. For everyone else, it's a reminder that even the most trusted tech companies will cut corners if pressure and incentives align. Trust, but verify what you're actually buying. Follow for daily AI and business updates.